Welcome back to Graph Academy. You're all welcome. I'm so excited to take you through a new thing today. And today we are going to look at pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance. It's an exciting topic that it's a must watch for every medical professional. It is good for you to watch this, and although still undergoing training, it is relevant for you to watch this or to attend this lecture because it is of great benefit to you. Okay, so we're going to look at what's pharmacovigilance, and we shall look at briefly what's the outline of our study today, what we are going to learn today. So we see that the outline of the study, we are going to define what pharmacovigilance is. We're going to look at the different terminologies that we may need to know. And then what's the main aim of pharmacovigilance? Okay, so what's pharmacovigilance? You see that it's the detection, assessment, and understanding and prevention of adverse events or adverse drug reactions or any other possible drug-related problems that may arise as you're managing your patients. So you find that that's a brief definition that we have. So what are the terminologies that you may need to know? What a drug is or medicine? We see that is a pharmaceutical product used in or on a human body for prevention, diagnosis, or treatment of disease, for modification of pharmacological functions. So unexpected adverse drug reaction is an adverse drug reaction or the nature or severity of which is not consistent with domestic labeling or market authorization. So that's like an adverse drug reaction. So it's unexpected, like you don't expect it to arise when you're managing your patient, but it can arise anyway. Okay, so what about a side effect? Is an unintended effect of a pharmaceutical product occurring at doses normally used in man or human body, which is related to the pharmacological properties of the drug. What about adverse reaction? Is a response to the medicine that is noxious and unintended and which occurs at doses normally used in man. All right, so the Bible uses man to describe all the human beings. That's why you are saying man. You may be wondering, where is the woman? Woman emancipation, is on campaign. Why not man and woman here? So I don't know about the Quran, but that's what I know about Christianity. So we are still defining terminologies. A signal refers to a reported information on a possible causal relationship between an adverse event and a drug, the relationship being unknown or incompletely documented previously. Suspected adverse reaction, in which a causal or suspected adverse drug reaction or adverse reaction in which the causal role of the drug is unproven and may be doubtful. Like we are wondering whether it was a adverse drug reaction as a result of the drug, or maybe a patient had any other alignments. Like we're just suspecting, like a suspect. Just like in the criminal world where you are a criminal until proven guilty. Like other countries, you are suspect until proven guilty. Yeah. Or you are not a criminal until proven guilty. An adverse event or experience is any untoward medical occurrence that may present during treatment with a medicine, but which does not necessarily have a causal relationship with this treatment. Okay, so the basic point here is the coincidence in time without any suspicion of a causal relationship with the drug. What about benefit? Benefit refers to the proven therapeutic good of the product, but also include the patient's subjective assessment of its effects. What about drug interaction? A drug interaction occurs when the effect of one drug are affected by the presence of another drug, food, drink, or an environmental chemical event or agent. Effectiveness is the extent to which a drug works under real-world circumstances. For example, in clinical practice, efficacy is the extent to which a drug works under ideal circumstances. For example, maybe clinical trials. Causal relationship is said to exist when a drug is thought to have caused or contributed to occurrence of an adverse drug reaction. What about temporal relationship? It's said to exist when an adverse event occurs when a patient is taking a given drug. That's a temporal relationship does not necessarily in itself prove that the event was caused by the drug. That's a temporal relationship. What about the challenge and re-challenge? You see that it refers to a drug being stopped and restarted in a patient respectively. For example, if you are suspecting that adverse drug reaction or reaction that a patient is showing when you're evaluating them is as a result of this medication that you plan to give them or that they are already in therapy in, you are going to have episodes where you are going to stop the patient from swallowing that medication and then monitor the patient to see does a patient still present with the specific reaction that they are presenting with. And then if they do not present when you stopped the medication, you try to give the medication again, or you are the re-challenge is when you give the medication again. So when you give that medication again to your patient and your patient now shows the effects or the adverse drug reaction they were experiencing when they were taking resurfaces or restarts, you can now confirm that this specific reaction is as a result of drug interaction or of drug adverse drug events or adverse drug reaction. So the challenge is when you challenge you stop the medication, and then re-challenge is when you repeat or give back that medication. You're just trying to find out, is this any other complication a patient is presenting with, or this complication is brought about by the medications this patient is already taking. Okay. Then control group. This is a group of individual patients that is used as a standard of comprehension or comparison within the clinical trials. That is a control group. What about a clinical trial? A clinical trial refers to organized programs to determine the safety or efficacy of a drug in a patient. So the phases of or stages of clinical trial are majorly four. We have the first phase, we have the second phase, we have the third phase, and the fourth phase. Whereby the first phase is you do the trial on small scale early in drug development. And the second, you are looking at that the medium-sized trial, like medium-sized number for both safety, like what are you looking at? You're looking at the safety and efficacy of a medication on this medium-sized trial. Large trials, which includes key trials, where you're looking at now maybe the potency of the medication that you are trying to innovate. The large post-marketing trials that is typically for safety reasons. And then determination, or we are still continuing with the definitions. We see that a risk probability of harm being caused, usually expressed as a percentage or a ratio of the treated population. Risk factor is an attribute of a patient that may predispose or increase the risk of that patient developing an event that may or may not be drug related. What about triage? Triage refers to the process of placing a potential adverse event report into one of three categories. You can, like when you make a report basing on adverse events, okay, remember our pharmacovigilance is when you're monitoring, you're reporting, you're able to identify these adverse drug reactions. So after you have identified them, you're able to categorize them. And what are the categories you can categorize them in? We have non-serious cases, we have serious cases, and then no case. There are those that do not cause harm to the patient, or there are those the reactions that come up not as a result of a patient taking that specific medication. So what's the main aim of pharmacovigilance? You need to detect or enables, or the main aim is early detection of unknown adverse reactions and interactions on your patient. Detection of increases or increase in the frequency of this known adverse drug reaction. Identification of the risk factors and possible mechanism underlying adverse reaction. And then lastly, we look at estimation of quantitative aspects of benefits, and then risk analysis and dissemination of information needed to improve the drug prescribing and regulation. What is the ultimate goal of pharmacovigilance? So it looks at having rational and safe use of medical use or drugs. So it looks at making sure that medications are rationally used. The right medicine is given to the right patient at the right time. Because when it is given to a right patient, we avoid issues of adverse drug reaction, drug interaction coming up. So it is looking at that. The assessment and communication of the risks and benefits of the drug on the market. It also focuses on that. Educating and informing, like making patients aware of the interactions that can come up as a result of the medication. So what's the Pharmacovigilance Center? So we see that for the case of Uganda, it is located in National Drug Authority, but Ministry of Health can also be a good host for Pharmacovigilance Center. Within the country, any department in the hospital or academic environment working in clinical pharmacology, clinical pharmacy, clinical toxicology, or epidemiology may be a suitable starting point for pharmacovigilance. In some countries, we see that professional bodies such as Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda may be a good home for this. Okay, like where do you have or where do you see this pharmacovigilance center? We don't know about your country. You can put in the comment section and we hear from your country where these centers are best, where they maybe the department is best in. So the reporting of adverse drug reactions may start locally, perhaps in one hospital, then extend to other hospitals and family practices in the region. And the process step by step into a national activity. So this will require a much effort, especially in effective communication before substantial proportions of practitioners are contributing to it. So once it is identified in a specific region, in a specific nation, it's good to discontinue that medication if it is a serious adverse drug reaction by recalling the product back on market. It saves a lot. So in Uganda, the center is hosted in National Drug Authority, which has now established regional centers in all regional hospitals in Uganda. Like it has an office or a center in every region so that in case these adverse drug reactions are identified, assessed, and then they are reported as early as possible so that action is taken to avoid are like affecting so many other families, so many other hospitals, and so many other people. In these regional centers, it takes only one dedicated professional, such as a physician or a pharmacist, to get the center functioning. Wherever the location of the center, pharmacovigilance is closely linked to drug regulation. So governmental support is needed for national coordination. Pharmacovigilance is nobody's individual's privilege. Okay, so we see that good collaboration, coordination, communication, and public relation are needed to coherent development for the prevention of unnecessary competition or duplication of medication. All right, so maintenance of contacts with international institutions working in pharmacovigilance is needed. That's why we see that WHO Department of Essential Drugs and Medicines Policy, and also we have the APSLA Monitoring Center in Sweden. It is in collaboration with our country. Reporting of adverse drug reactions. How do you report them? After you have identified them, you know now that they need to be reported as early as we can. We need to identify them as early as we can. And we can for sure tell that these adverse drug reactions may not be pleasant and may be serious, or it can be life-threatening. So reporting we are having here, a case report in pharmacovigilance can be defined as a notification relating to patients with an adverse medical event or laboratory test abnormalities suspected to be included by the medicine. So a case should contain information on the following elements. The report should have the patient age or patient information, which includes the age, the sex of the patient, the brief medical history of the patient, if relevant. In some countries, ethnic origin may also be needed to be specified under patient information. Adverse event, description of the event, the nature, the localization, the severity, and then the characteristics of how it is presenting. Results of investigation and tests, starting date, when it is started, the cause and the outcome. What are the suspected drugs? And when giving the drugs, give the name and the brand of that medication, the brand, ingredients, the batch number, and the manufacturer. That's why most of the time we see that medications are recalled on market based on a specific batch number, maybe that has been suspected to have adulterations, or that is giving adverse drug events to different clients who are consuming that specific batch. Okay, so the dose, the route of administration, your starting and the stopping date, indication for use. So this is like information about the drug you need to include. All other drugs used, you need to give the names, the doses, and the routes of administration. What were the risk factors? For example, impaired renal function, previous exposure to suspected drug, and then previous allergies, and social drug use. You also need to give the name and address of the person reporting this, okay? It helps them to follow up and also help this person to manage the alignments that have come as a result of adverse drug events or adverse drug reaction. So what are the methods of reporting adverse drug reactions? The primary method in pharmacovigilance is spontaneous reporting, which is a regional or countrywide system for reporting of suspected adverse drug reactions. Other methods may include prescription event monitoring, like you're monitoring your prescriptions that you've given to the patients, and you are able to identify or evaluate your patient based on how they are responding. Then case control surveillance can also be carried out or can be used, and linkage of records from multipurpose databases. Drug utilization data is of value in safety assessment. So what are the means of reporting? Like, what are the means? The special free post or business reply or reporting forms are always availed, commonly known as adverse drug reaction reporting forms. It may be effective to include or reply paid reporting forms in national formulary, drug bulletin, or professional journals. Telephone, you can call, box, and then electronic email, and then internet. You can also do that because that is actually faster than the form, which may take a procedure to reach that specific facility or manufacturer responsible for manufacturing this drug and taking action of recalling the medication back on market if it is causing a serious and life-threatening condition. So who reports adverse drug reactions? We see that professionals working in a healthcare are preferred source of information in pharmacovigilance. For example, family practitioners, medical specialists, and pharmacists, dentists, midwives, nurses, and other healthcare providers or healthcare workers may also administer or prescribe drugs, and they should be in position to report to the regional office about the specific effects or the specific reactions that a patient has presented with after administration of a specific medication. So pharmaceutical manufacturer has reported to the competent authorities, and then like after these people or personnel directly connected to the patients have reported, they also report back to National Drug Authority. National Drug Authority informs the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry by writing to them a report. So if adverse drug reactions are reported directly by a patient to the national or local center, it is useful to consider the possibility of communication with their physicians for additional information and data verification. So it is always good in case a patient reports direct to maybe these officials, you find that it is good for them to connect with a person who managed them so that they get more information on a patient history, the medication they were taking, and then the condition they were treating, any other drugs, any other medical allergies that these patients might have encountered. So what do you report? What to report? In the early stages of any pharmacovigilance system, reports on all suspected adverse drug reactions, known or not known, serious or not serious, are welcome and useful. In established pharmacovigilance systems, we see that reporting of all suspected reactions, including minor ones for new drugs, have to be reported, or serious ones. If an increased frequency of a given reaction is suspected, it is also a reason for reporting, has to be reported. Adverse reactions associated with drugs used in traditional medication or medicines should also be considered and reported. Drug abuse and drug use in pregnancy and lactation has to be also reported. Lack of efficacy and suspected pharmaceutical defects, especially when there is a possibility of manufacturing problems, counterfeit of pharmaceuticals, and then of development of resistance. For example, maybe antimicrobial resistance has to be reported. And then we have also adverse drug reactions to cosmetics may need to be reported, especially when cosmetics contain obsolete or toxic ingredients. Obsolete is outdated ingredients. With time, there are always products that have ingredients that are outdated, and when they are outdated, you find they will cause reactions on a patient. So even if you're having a reaction on a cream or cosmetic product that you're using, it is always good to reach your health practitioner and report that specific issue so that it does not affect your health, does not affect your normal physiological functions in the body. Some of the obsolete products or ingredients, for example, mercury products, in case you are using a lotion or a cream or a cosmetic product with a mercury compound in it, it's not advisable. Corticoids, like in bleaching creams, you may find them there, but they are obsolete and toxic. Okay. Problems related to medical devices and equipment. In case there is any problem with the device and equipment, remember some of these equipments we are using them either for compounding or we are using them for like testing, carrying out those different tests. So in case there is any problem with them, it's good to report so that you don't give patients wrong results. Okay, yeah. According to WHO, casualty category largely based on 4 categories or considerations. So what are the casualty assessments or imputations? The association in time between drug administration and the event. You're looking at which time was the drug administered and what time did the event start, like that reaction, when did it start? Pharmacology, where you're looking at including current knowledge of the nature and the frequency of the diverse reaction that you have presented. Medical or pharmacological signs and symptoms, laboratory tests, pathophysiological findings and mechanisms also have to be put into consideration. The likelihood or exclusion of other causes need to be put into place. What are some of the challenges that you may face in pharmacovigilance? You have limited data on adverse drug reactions. You may not have enough information on an adverse drug reaction. You see that also they are rare adverse drug reactions, some not detected until it is in their phase 3 of clinical trials. We already looked at 4 phases of clinical trials, and phase 3 majorly enables these manufacturers or the people carrying out research and development of new products. It enables them to detect adverse drug reactions in phase 3. Okay, so difficult to detect and interpret pharmacovigilance data. Sometimes it's hard for people to interpret and detect for these adverse drug reactions. Many doctors are unaware of adverse drug reactions, by the way. Okay, there is also limited knowledge and skill in detection of adverse drug reaction. Budgeting constraints which retard follow-up and collection of form monitoring. There is irrational drug use. Self-medication practices are common. Culture of reporting still low. You find that the culture of reporting, most times maybe it is ignored. Delay in reporting is also there, and it's a very big challenge. Private sectors are not covered or not considered in this specific practice. And then we see that privacy and medical secrecy regarding detailed reporting and use of histories of patients with these specific injuries or with these specific conditions. So what are the strategies for us to improve pharmacovigilance? Always include detailed drug history during consultation. Use drug treatment when there is a clear indication. Stop drugs when they stop drugs that are no longer necessary. Those drugs that are obsolete, you stop using them. Check the dose and the response, especially in risk groups, for example, elderly and children. Inform patients on common side effects and drug interactions that may arise so that in case they are already experiencing it, they are able to come and inform you about it. Do follow-up and re-evaluation of whatever you are doing, okay? Insensitization, again, is self-medication. Most of the adverse drug reaction may come up as people are self-medicating themselves. So in conclusion, we see that pharmacovigilance is needed for the prevention of drug-induced human suffering and to avoid financial risks associated with unexpected adverse effects. So we see that in conclusion, medicines on market need continuous monitoring in every country. So be a watch of your brother and sister on the medication they are taking. In case of any reactions that are not normal, kindly inform your healthcare provider near you. And this brings us to the end of pharmacovigilance. I hope you appreciate the value and the benefit, the aims and the goals of pharmacovigilance. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for listening. If you came this far listening to this video, I wish you all the best and I thank you so much. Stay tuned, share, like, and comment, subscribe to this channel for more content like this.